When we think about language learning, reading often gets overshadowed by the glamour of speaking or the excitement of listening. Speaking is the skill most learners want to showcase. It's the badge of honor that says, I can actually use this language. Listening carries its own allure because it gives learners access to songs, movies, and conversations. But reading is sometimes seen as academic, slow, or even boring. And yet, if we zoom in on the core of the second language acquisition, reading is not just a skill, it's a powerhouse. It's one of the richest, most rewarding, and most transformative ways for learners to make a language truly their own. So, in today's episode, we're diving deep into reading strategies for second language learners. We'll unpack why reading is central to developing vocabulary, grammar, comprehension, and even speaking fluency. We'll explore research-backed methods, practical classroom approaches, and strategies learners can adopt independently. By the end, you'll see reading not as a passive act of decoding letters, but as an active, empowering practice that opens up worlds, literal and metaphorical. So, buckle up, sit well, grab your cup of coffee, your tea, your cha, and let's get started.
Woo! Let's go!
And let's begin with the obvious but often overlooked truth. Reading builds vocabulary. Unlike listening, where words fly by, reading text give learners the chance to pause, reflect, and reread. This repeated exposure builds what linguistics call lexical depth. Not just knowing the word, but knowing how it behaves, in what context it belongs, and what shades of meaning it carries. Krashen's famous input hypothesis puts reading at the heart of acquisition. He argued that comprehensible input, language just slightly above the learner's current level, is what fuels progress, and what's one of the most reliable sources of such input? Extensive reading. Yes. Learners who engage with books, articles, and even graded readers are constantly stretching their linguistic limits. Reading also sharpens grammar intuitively. While grammar drills can help learners consciously recognize rules, reading gives them unconscious familiarity. They start noticing patterns, collocation, and sentence rhythm, often without realizing it. And finally, reading develops cultural competence. Every text is embedded in a cultural context. A novel might reveal idioms, customs, and historical references, of course, and also a news article might introduce formal registers or socio-political discourse. Through reading, learners don't just acquire words, they absorb perspectives. Of course, reading in a new language is not easy. Learners face several barriers. Let's start with the first one, vocabulary gaps. Encountering too many unknown words can be discouraging. Grammar complexity. Long sentences with subordinate clauses can overwhelm. Cultural references, jokes, idioms, or historical allusions can block understanding. Cognitive overload. Trying to decode every word leaves little energy for overall comprehension. This is why strategies matter. Without them, learners may abandon reading altogether. But with them, learners can navigate text confidently, even when the material feels daunting. Let's explore some of the most effective strategies, backed by research, classroom experience, and learners' testimonies. 1. Extensive reading. This is about quantity, not difficulty. Learners choose books or texts at their level, sometimes even slightly below, to build fluency and confidence. The focus is not on translating every word, but on enjoying the story, the flow, and the rhythm of language. And here we have something. Graded readers. They're amazing. They're perfect. These simplified books exist at multiple levels, often with glossaries, illustration, and audio support. They allow learners to experience entire stories without drowning in unknowns. They're perfect. I love the ones that actually are from Oxford. They're really good. I used them in the classroom. I got very good feedback from the students about it. They really love it and they enjoy it. So research shows that extensive reading boosts vocabulary, reading speed, and even writing skills. It's like training your brain to process the new language naturally. 2. Intensive reading. The complement to extensive reading is intense reading. Slower, more analytical, focus on shorter text. Here, learners might dissect paragraphs, analyze sentence structures, or look up unfamiliar words. The goal is depth, but for understanding. Intense reading is great for academic learners or those preparing for exams like TOEFL or IELTS. It teaches precision, attention to detail, and the ability to extract nuanced meaning from complex passages. 3. Skimming and scanning. Typical, right? Skimming is reading quickly for the main idea. Scanning is hunting for specific details. Both are essential in real life. Skimming a news article to see what's about. Scanning a schedule to find your train departure time. Teaching learners to adjust their speed and purpose when reading is a game changer. They realize they don't always need to read every word. Sometimes the goal is gist. Other times, it's data. 4. Guessing from context. One of the most powerful strategies is learning to infer word meaning from surrounding context. Instead of running to the dictionary for every unknown word, learners pause and ask, what could this word mean here? For example, the boy trudged through the snow. And if you don't know trudge, the setting suggests for difficulty, slowness. This skill builds independence and confidence. 5. Annotation and note-taking. Marking up a text, highlight new words, underlining key sentences, writing margin notes, helps learners engage actively, instead of passively moving their eyes across the page. They interact with the text, making it their own. Digital tools like Kindle, highlights, or apps like LinkQ can make this process even smoother. 6. Vocabulary logs and word cards. Learners can keep a notebook of new words, but with a twist. Instead of just translating, they record context sentences, synonyms, and personal associations. Flashcards, physical or digital with spaced repetition, can reinforce this. 7. Reading aloud and shadowing. While reading is usually silent, reading aloud can reinforce pronunciation, rhythm, and memory. Pairing this with shadowing, repeating after an audio recording, turns reading into a multi-sensory experience. 8. Reciprocal teaching. This is a classroom strategy where learners take turns being the teacher of a text, guiding peers through predicting, questioning, summarizing, and clarifying. It develops metacognition, thinking about how we read, not just what we read. The text matters. Motivation dies quickly if the material is too hard or too boring. So, what works best? First one, as I just told you, graded readers. For beginners, it's amazing. News articles for intermediate learners. Authentic novels, essays, or academic papers for advanced learners. Digital text with hyperlinks, glossaries, and multimedia for tech-savvy learners. And here's a golden rule. Let learners choose. Autonomy fuels motivation. A teenager forced to read Shakespeare in their L2 may disengage. But the same teenager choosing to read Harry Potter in French might devour it. Teachers are guides, not gatekeepers. They can scaffold reading with pre-reading activities, predicting from titles, images, or headings. During reading activities, guiding questions, vocabulary checks, and post-reading activities like summaries, discussions, role plays. They can also model strategies explicitly, showing learners how to scheme, how to annotate, how to guess meaning. Metacognitive awareness, knowing how you read, is as important as the reading itself. And this one is for independent learners. For self-study learners, here's a simple roadmap. First, start with texts you enjoy, even if they're children's books or comics. Second, read daily. Even 10 minutes is enough. Third, alternate between extensive and intensive reading. 4. Keep a word log, but don't obsess over every unknown word. And 5th, celebrate progress. Finishing a book in your L2 is a milestone. Now, the rise of technology has transformed reading. We all know that. Learners now have access to ebooks with instant dictionaries, news apps with simplified versions, and language learning platforms that gamify reading. But there's also a downside: digital distraction. Skimming too much can erode deep comprehension. Balance is key. Digital tools can support, but they shouldn't replace sustained, focused reading. Learners who develop strong reading habits often surpass their peers in overall proficiency. They write better, speak more fluently, and understand cultural nuance more deeply. Reading fits every other skill. And beyond language learning, reading builds empathy, critical thinking, and creativity. It's not just about decoding foreign words. It's about becoming a global citizen who can step into other perspectives. So, if you're learning a language, pick up a book today. If you're teaching, guide your learners to discover the magic of text. And remember, reading is not just an academic requirement. It's a window into worlds. It's a bridge between cultures. And it's one of the most reliable allies in your language learning journey. Until next time, keep turning the pages, keep opening new worlds, and keep learning through language.